Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today I'm going to show you how to brew over ice with this Ninja Coffee Bar CF082. So if you look, it's got an over the ice button that you can brew over ice. And we can brew over ice with any selection. We can brew over a cup of ice, a travel mug full of ice, a half coffee pot full of ice, or a full coffee pot full of ice. Anytime you're using the coffee pot to brew over ice, you got to take that top off that's got the center thing that goes through it. So you got to have just a nice opening there when you do over ice. So in the manual it talks about over ice. When you brew over ice, you don't get as much water going through the coffee grounds. So when I do a full coffee pot, when I do a classic brew, it brews it all the way to the top. When I do an over ice, when I've got the switch on the full coffee pot, I only get 15.8 ounces. So here's a better chart. So compare that with when I do a classic brew on the full cafe, I get 38 ounces. So you get almost, and there's the full cafe with over ice. You almost get half. You get a little bit less than half of the amount of water. That's why you can put ice in here and it's not going to overflow, because you're going to get about half the amount of water with coffee in it that you would. But it's going to be a really concentrated coffee, but the ice melts and dilutes the coffee to kind of cool it down. So that's why you don't get as much liquid. You end up with 38 ounces. So with ice, but only the coffee coming out. So if I didn't have ice in here, I would just get 15.8 ounces. So I've got a good amount of ice in here. It's about halfway up. I'm going to show you. I've got it on the full coffee pot. Make sure you've got your water in. Coffee grounds is going to be kind of up to you. You can go up to a maximum of 12 tablespoons. And again, you can use a number 4 cone filter for this too. I'm using the reusable filter. You can't use both. Again, I like the taste of around 10 tablespoons, but you could go less or you can go more, but just don't go more than 12. So I've got the switch all the way on full, and now all I got to do is press the over the ice button. That starts the brew process. That light lights up. And now it's going to start brewing. Make sure the drip is open and not enclosed. I'm just using regular old Folgers coffee grounds for this. You can use any coffee that you want at a medium grind. And what's nice about this machine, so when I brew over ice, you'll notice the stay warm light didn't come on. It does not turn the warming plate on. That's really nice, even though I'm using the coffee pot. Normally when I'm using the coffee pot under a classic brew or a rich brew, it turns the warming plate on. So we know we don't want the warming plate on because we're doing over ice. So this machine knows that, and it doesn't turn it on. It's got kind of that standard brew where it brews it really quick for just a little bit, and then it kind of stops, and then it starts up again. But I want you to see, the coffee coming out is still really, really hot. You know, 170, 175. So it's going to really, really melt that ice. But you do end up with a really cold iced coffee when you're said and done. And again, I can brew this, I can fill this travel mug up with ice to about here. This is 14 fluid ounce travel mug. And when it brews the ice when I have a travel mug selected, it's not going to fill this completely up with 14 ounces. It's going to brew a lot less. So for the travel mug, again, this chart is really nice. It's going to brew 5.8 ounces, so that's not very much at all. So you can put a lot of ice in this travel mug, and it's only going to brew 5.8 ounces of coffee in there. Again, it's doing a really good job. These Ninja coffee makers, they do brew coffee really good. It looks like I probably should have put a little more ice in there. That's kind of the tricky part, is knowing how much ice to put in, because you don't know exactly how much ice to put in. But I definitely should have put a little bit more in, or I should have brewed this at a half. So basically, if you put if you fill this up to the halfway with ice, that's pretty much what you should brew. And if I fill this up to about here with ice, then I should do a full pot of ice. Then I should, do a full pot on ice brew. That would work out good. Because you can see that is pretty well melted right now. Okay, so there it's done. I'm going to put this to drip stop. I do want to show you that it does get it. Yeah, we should have added more ice. That's at 70 degrees. If I'd have had more ice in there, I could have got that down to about 40 degrees. That's what a normal iced coffee is. So when you do a full pot, again, you got to have it all the way up to there. That's a lot of iced coffee. So it does a really good job brewing the coffee grounds when you do over ice. Okay, so now let's do a travel mug. I've got this big 16-ounce travel mug. I've got it full of ice. So now I'm going to turn the switch to travel mug. So with it on travel mug, I can use 3 to 4 tablespoons of coffee. I'm going to put 3 in. And now over ice, travel mug is going to be 5.8 ounces. It says it should end up with 14 ounces. Again, if I was doing just a classic brew, a travel mug it'd be 4 ounces of actual coffee. I'm only going to get 5 ounces, about 6 ounces of coffee out of there. So I've got it in travel mug. I've got my coffee grounds in, cleaned that out, ready to go. Got my water reservoir full. Switch is on travel mug. I'm just going to press over ice. The over ice light comes on. My drip is open. And it starts brewing almost immediately. Again, with it in travel mug, it's not going to turn that warming plate on. So the warming plate's not on. And even if we were in these, it doesn't turn it on when you're in over ice. And we can see it still comes out really hot. It melts that ice really quick. Okay, so it's getting towards the end. And you can see I had this travel mug all the way full. So pretty much whatever container you're normally used to using, fill it completely full of ice and it should not overflow it when you do your... Same with a cup. A cup, it normally brews 9 ounces, so if you had a 9-ounce cup full of ice, it's not going to overflow. Again, I got a lot more ice left over in this one, and the drink is getting down there pretty good. It's at 50 degrees already. Okay, so it beeped at us. It's done. I'm going to move it to drip stop. Even with all of that ice, I still don't have much. So, but it does get the drink down pretty cold. You're definitely going to want to add a little more ice. So my recommendation is probably make it a little stronger. Maybe add a little more coffee grounds than you're used to. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have to add a lot more ice. You know, these Ninjas brew really hot to begin with. So when I do a Keurig machine, I don't have to use this much ice to get that water cooled down this quick. But it seems like you got to use a little more ice with these Ninja machines to make an iced coffee. So, but there's a little ice left. And again, they're at 41 degrees. It's pretty good. So I'm finishing up here. I'm going to put the video camera on the manual. There's a couple charts that are going to be really important to you. And you can pause your video if you don't have the manual and want to look at these charts. So this first one is brew volume. And here's for over ice. The second chart is for how much coffee grounds and I do tablespoons. It does come with a scoop. I don't have my scoop anymore. I use tablespoons. So I hope the video helps. Does it brew over ice? Yes. Is it the best machine to brew over ice? Yeah, maybe not. But you can kind of control some of the variables to kind of make a pretty good over ice coffee. Thanks everybody for watching. And if you could, please like and subscribe.